Shots in the Dark contains graphic depictions of events that may not be suitable for all listeners. We encourage all of our listeners to be open-minded and engage in dialogue with us through any of our social media accounts or email.
I keep going down like little weird holes recently and finding a bunch of information that doesn't matter about anything. So there's two different things that I found out this week. There was a painting in the 70s that was a painting of a little boy that when houses would get set on fire or would somehow catch flame, the painting would never burn.
Oh, I've heard about this painting.
Did you hear about why it's so hysterical?
Didn't people think that the painting was part of the reason the fires were starting?
Yeah, so they thought it was the reason for the fires, and the fact that it wasn't burning was an indicator for everyone.
Yeah.
But then they found out later that the company that had put the varnish on it had it was a fireproof varnish.
Oh, okay.
So it was amazing, which I thought was hysterical. Like, it is a little bit strange, though, that
so many people's fucking shit caught fire.
Yeah, and clearly, like, wherever that painting is now, it's not on fire. So, you know what I found the other day? Because remember I told you I was researching that paranormal research group in Ohio?
Yeah.
Because I was so excited about them. Yeah. So, randomly, one of the search results for that came back. There is a thing called Spiritual Science Research Foundation that has decided that gay people...
I'm waiting for it. It's gonna be based in fact, I'm sure.
It's so factual.
Very science-based.
85% of gay people are possessed by ghosts. And it's only because... So you're only gay because a ghost of a female possessed you and is now overriding your sexual preferences.
Well, I mean, I was told once that I was not born gay. I'm gay because I'm possessed by demons.
There we are.
Yeah.
And then clearly I have just a bunch of dudes in me because that's the only reason. The other
explains a lot now, Whitney.
Right? The other. So 5% is due to hormonal changes, and 10% is psychological experience. This is my favorite. With a same-sex person as a teenager or young adult that was pleasurable and wanting to experience it again. Duh. Heads up. In order to get rid of that ghost.
Oh, you mean Ida McMasterson? That's her name.
You can... Well, first of all, you stay away from pride parades because they're haunted. They are... They emit a negative energy that covers about 10 kilometers. So be careful from the pride parades. Having gay sex is 5% as sinful as murder.
Wait, what?
Having gay sex is 5% as sinful as gay.
You know why,
murder.
though? Because you've committed murder in your heart. I've heard that. No. I've heard that before.
Oh my gosh. I haven't. And that's hysterical. Okay. All right.
Have you ever lied before, Whitney? If you have, you've committed murder in your heart.
They must have skipped over that when I was in Catholic school. I just remember reading how...
I didn't hear that at Catholic school. I heard that at Starbucks.
Oh. Why? In order to banish the ghost from you, they have a handy guide of the simple steps that you can do to get rid of the ghost. They're illustrated. They are. So you can drive it out by chanting 108 times before making a circle with your thumb and forefinger for 45 minutes before channeling energy into your forehead. So you chant this 108 times, then you place all of the energy from the chant into your hand. Then you make a circle with your thumb and forefinger, channel all the energy of the Om in
the OK position.
And then hold it there for 45 minutes. And then after 45 minutes, you place all the energy into your forehead. And it gets rid of the ghost. I
don't know. Sitting here with my fingers like this in the OK position, I'm just feeling very Italian. I'm like a bop-a-da-beepy, a poop-a-da-boppy. I just want to get all the hand signals. And then,
good, make me some tiramisu.
And just like, everybody's stupid. And then you hit yourself in the head and it gets rid of the ghost.
Cheers. And hello.
Cheers. And hello, guys.
And welcome back So I'd like to hear your story before we get tangenty.
Oh, you wanted me to tell a story this week?
Yeah, I mean, like, every once in a while, I kind of want to hear some things that you say.
Okay, well, here's the thing. So I'm going to talk about like, two different things, but I'm talking about two different things because they're both things that are very current. Same kind of like relative area. We're talking about Canada, so I mean, it's not going to be too far away from each other.
You're doing your one in Canada?
Yeah, well, and we all know that Canada, like, you think that they're tame because they've got all the hockey,
Mine's
but
in Canada.
Did we just go full Canadian? Is this the Maple episode?
Mine is also Canada. I'm so excited.
Oh
Sorry,
my god.
We did this.
We did not have a psychic connection and both pick fucking Canada.
Okay, I'm so excited. Sorry.
That's amazing, and I fucking love
My
you.
whole face feels like it's flushing because I'm so excited about it.
So, really, and the other reason that I'm talking about too is I feel like they're things like people should be aware of. At least one of them is, and the other one is something really sort of dark and fascinating that's happening. So, the first one I want to talk about is the murder of Tina Fontaine. Mm-hmm. She is a 15-year-old girl. They found her body in 2014. She is First Nation descent. So her family, they're part of the indigenous people. And she had been being raised by her great aunt.
Do they know why?
There were some kind of family issues. And I know that she had been doing better in school, and her aunt had, as a reward, been like, okay, well, over the summer, you can go visit your biological mother and spend some time with her.
But they just weren't like,
I'm guessing,
weren't fostering a good sense for her to grow up in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the situation was, so I don't want to try to pretend that I do know. Okay. But the vibe that I get from it is maybe she was just better suited to be with the great aunt. Maybe she was in a better position to take care of her. Mm-hmm. So her going and visiting her biological mother was a treat. It was like a big deal. And she's 15 years old. She had been there almost a month, and then she had run off. It sounds kind of like she was a rebellious teenager, which right. I get. I was a rebellious teenager. I did whatever I wanted to do. But she straight up just didn't come home, was gone. And then her body showed up in the Red River, and it was wrapped in like a duvet and a garbage bag.
Am I assuming that they had originally thought she just was like a teenage runaway?
Yeah.
As per every single child.
Yeah, well, the fucked up thing, too, though, is that she had been reported missing the end of July. Mm-hmm. She was reported missing, and then on August 8th, she was picked up in a car by a police officer. There was a whole car of people, and she was in a car with all these people, and the police officer had taken everybody's names and gotten their identities, and he let her go. He was like,
"This was like, peace out, I don't need you
He
here."
said, "Scram," even though she was 15, but really she fucking looks like she's 12. If you see pictures of her, she looks like a baby. How could you think it's okay for her to be intoxicated? So he tells her...
He picked her up for being drunk.
He had pulled over a car, and she was in the car with other people, and she happened to be intoxicated. They find her body. She turns up in the river.
In a duvet and a garbage bag.
Yeah, and they had found out, and I don't know exactly what the connection was, how they were able to tie it to this gentleman. His name is Raymond Comier. He apparently had like some kind of weird relationship with her. One of the segments that I watched on this said that he had sex with her.
Right.
And
which is what I would have gleaned from weird.
Other ones kind of made it sound like they were friends, but I'm pretty sure that they had sex. It's rough. The duvet cover, people that knew Raymond Comier were like, that's his. We've seen it before. It belongs to him. So she's wrapped in his duvet cover and everything. He gets charged with the murder, and it goes to trial. And literally in the last 2 weeks, they found him not guilty.
No kidding. Okay.
But it was so incredibly obvious that he killed her. But they didn't have enough hard evidence to actually give him a guilty verdict.
Right.
So they didn't, because they didn't feel comfortable with it. And her family was distraught. It was awful. But her murder also brought to light a huge fucking problem that's happening in Canada. And it's all of these First Nation women disappearing, or they're turning up murdered.
Right.
And since 1980, one study showed that it was 1,200 First Nation women had either been murdered or had disappeared. But more recent studies done by First Nation groups that are really committed to their research have found that it's actually closer to 4,000.
Oh, wow.
Since 1980. And nobody's talking about it, and nobody wants to do anything about it. They're not taking it seriously. But Justin Trudeau, who I love, and he's real easy on the eyes.
I don't think I've ever seen him, but I know of him.
Oh, yeah. He's pretty. He had actually made like a public statement that they need to make an effort to actually look into this and do something about it after they had found her body. And now, because of all this, and it's awful, and I wish that they would have given him a guilty verdict and there would have been more justice for her, but now I think more people are paying attention to the fact that this is a problem, and it has been a problem for a very long time, and it's not okay to be picking on these women because what, you think that you can make them disappear easier, no one's going to be looking for them?
Well, but historically the unfortunate thing is, yeah, you can't.
It's awful. Her family, of course, is like really upset about it, and I would be too. Now, there are all these groups that are really committed to putting a stop to it and just making this an issue that people really know about. And,
right.
You know, it's
because
not,
I would definitely never have.
A lot of people don't know that this is happening, but
right.
It's been a problem. Apparently, this is an issue in Australia, too.
Oh, but that's been an issue for forever.
Yeah, for a long time.
Yeah.
I learned something new. That's the first one. The second one I want to tell you about is Bruce McArthur, also in Canada. Bruce McArthur is a serial killer who is
targeting
in
Native
prison
women.
right now. It's literally so recent and happening so currently that I don't think he's officially been handed a punishment yet. I don't think his trial has happened. God, it's awful. They keep finding more bodies.
Oh.
And he's only killed gay people.
Oh, great. What kind of gay people? All of them?
Yeah, the gay village surrounding Toronto, I guess he was just picking people up. He, by the way, is gay. And he was meeting people through dating apps and picking them up.
Which is clearly becoming so easy.
And he's picking some of them up at Alcoholics Anonymous. I watched an interview with a guy that had met him on a dating app and survived. It was a terrifying encounter. Basically, he had willingly taken GHB. They were going to have sex, so he wanted to get a little fucked up, have fun.
Right.
But Bruce had purposely given him more than he needed to, and then started cutting off his oxygen and forcibly raping him.
This is ongoing right now?
He's in custody right now. They had posters up of all of these missing people from the LGBT community, and they were looking for them for the long time, and there was some kind of evidence that they found in his truck that he was bringing to a drunk yard. He's bringing it to a drunk yard, to a junkyard. And it was suspicious and it was fishy, and it kind of tied him to one of the missing people. So they went and they searched his property, and they found 6 bodies in his planters.
In his planters?
In his planters.
No.
Yeah. And they had cadaver dogs sniff it out. That's how they found the bodies. Some of them they were able to get fingerprints. Some of them they had to do dental records. And there's a whole spot in the backyard where the cadaver dogs were going nuts, but they can't get into the ground the way that they need to because it's so cold and frozen over. So there's literally a huge tent in his backyard right now with space heaters in it, trying to soften up the ground so that they can get down there and start digging.
Wow.
So far, we're pretty sure that he's killed at least 8 people. 2 of the bodies, I think that they haven't been able to find yet, but they're starting to get worried that they're going to find more than that.
Right, as often people do.
And I guess he worked in landscaping, and
so it's easy for him to find things to plant.
He looks like in Santa Claus, like you wouldn't even think. He doesn't even look creepy or menacing. Yeah, he's one of those people that blends in.
Oh, Santa Claus doesn't blend in.
So,
but my assumption is that people just kind of were like,
yeah. So that's happening right the fuck now.
That's awesome.
And I'm very...
Do they know when he maybe started or no?
I'm not 100% sure when he started. It seems like the people that have gone missing, though, that they're talking about, I mean, it's maybe within the last year or 2.
Okay. You were saying they were looking for fingerprints, and then some of them they've had to go into dental records, so I wasn't sure if it was over a space that was way too long for them to actually have viable fingerprints.
Yeah. All the news articles that I was looking at they were either posted within the last week or 2 weeks ago. So, I mean, they're all They're all things that are happening.
They're very
right
fresh.
Now. But what I will say is that the really important police dude, man, that's doing all the investigating things.